So
Very
I think
nice.
we go on to our next case.
Yes, ma'am.
Our next speaker is Dr. Soumya, who is the director of Lopamudra Drishti Eye Hospital based in Coorg and has special interest in cataract and refractive surgery. So let's hear from her. On to you, Soumya.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Is my video visible now? I haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see.
Thank you. At the outset, I'd like to thank AIOC, ARC, especially Dr. Harshal and Dr. Chitra for putting together this wonderful program and having me on it. So I'm sure most of us would heave a breath of relief by the time we're done with handling our nucleus and mature cataracts. But really, it's not over yet, and there is so much more to come sometimes. So this is a fellow operating on a mature cataract at the end of a long day and a long list. And I can say this because this fellow was me many years back when I was a fellow in training. So I've started doing the irrigation aspiration, and probably because of the fatigue, or probably because the eye was not trained to see at this point, I go ahead and slightly aspirate the fornix and cause a zonular dialysis there. And obviously it hasn't come to my notice, and then so I go back again and repeat the same thing without noticing it a second time. In mature cataracts, we know that sometimes there is some pre-existing zonular dialysis, and the fornix is not as great as in other cataracts. It's not as strong, the zonules. But the third time when it happens, it's definitely iatrogenic, and fortunately, it has finally been noticed at this point. And obviously, because of this care, abruptly let go, and the irrigation aspiration port, the cannula have been removed. But it's very important when you notice zonular dialysis to make sure there is some viscotamponade before removing the irrigation port. I would probably now inject a dispersive viscoelastic into the capsular bag before removing the irrigation port, if this were to happen at if it were to happen in a case now. So following this, the ideal thing to do would be to inject a CTR at this point. But I just went ahead back then and continued with irrigation and aspiration, the cortical aspiration. Like I said, now I'd probably go ahead and implant a CTR before I did this. But fortunately for the patient, Lady Luck was on his side, so it went well. And in this case, I've then gone ahead and implanted a CTR through the side port. But at this point, I actually prefer to use the CTR injector. I think it is by Epsilon, and it has totally changed the game for me. It's made it extremely convenient. So I don't do CTR implantation through the side port anymore. I use the injector. Like you can see now, the CTR is being implanted into the bag. Which then, of course, this was a fairly large zonular dialysis, but I think the CTR took care of it in this case. Following CTR implantation, an IOL implantation under visco. My single piece lenses I usually do under irrigation, but if there were a zonular dialysis in a case, then I'd probably make sure it has visco when I implant the IOL in the bag. And in this case, of course, it had a side port tear as well, so that had to be sutured. And in cases with zonular dialysis, especially these large ones, it's always a good idea to stain with triamcinolone at the end of the surgery to make sure there is no vitreous in the AC. And then, of course, a good visco removal has to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Soumya. That was a very nice video. And could you stop sharing your screen?
Okay.
Yeah, fine. Yes, as she had already pointed to all of us, before removing our instrument, we need to inject, keep the anterior chamber stable and inject viscoelastic, and then only remove. The only thing I felt deferred is, whenever I would place a CTR, I would go into the second port and ensure that I tuck the last segment of the CTR into the fornix instead of just doing it as a single-handed procedure. I want the thoughts of expert as to what they would like to add. We start with you, Dr. Namrata. You have anything to tell?
So I thought that was a nicely done case as a fellow, Soumya, especially when you have an endocapsular ring. And I always say, even to our fellows and residents, what actually happens is that they get to do it in the end. Fellows and residents should be, given table OR space right in the beginning, so that, because for them, one case is the only case that they're going to do throughout the day. And for us, we'll do so many. So that is one thing. And second thing is that I would more rely on the cohesive viscoelastic if I see a zonular dialysis rather than a dispersive one, because that would kind of expand the bag also. Endocapsular ring, you showed it through the side port, but like you said very rightly that we would use it earlier than later. And I would do it through the main port itself rather than through the side port. And you did implant this kind of intraocular lens, but I would have probably done a 3-piece IOL.
3-piece.
Yeah, rather than this thing, because the zonular dialysis was large, and although endocapsular ring did take care, and I'm sure post-operatively it would have been okay, but I would be happy to use a 3-piece intraocular lens.
Yes.
Can I say something, Chitra?
Can I say something?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
So point here is that what she said is right. Actually, you have to inject the endocapsular ring opposite to the area of subluxation.
Yes.
That's the reason why the islets of the endocapsular ring will come to the opposite area of the subluxation. Sometimes we make a mistake of injecting the endocapsular ring in the area of the subluxation, then the two islets will come in the area of the subluxation.
Yeah.
So it's nothing wrong in injecting it through the side port, because it's okay, because you have an injector. Now the injector, if you're using an epsilon injector to put in an endocapsular ring, the endocapsular ring has to be so malleable. If you try to put an Indian endocapsular ring through an epsilon injector, it sometimes cracks. So I have experience of that cracking. You can talk about your experience now, since you're already an experienced surgeon. But I've seen this, that sometimes it cracks, and that's the reason why the endocapsular rings, which are made in India, are not as malleable as the Morsha endocapsular ring. Actually, the endocapsular ring injector was invented for Morsha. And that's the reason why those injectors are different PMMA, completely different material.
Yeah. I think you are right. I also use through side port, as Dr. Deepak showed, no, use the Kuglen hook or other instrument to guide it while you are inserting it. So that works very well.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Yes, Mohan sir.
No, this beautifully managed. Once you see a zonular dialysis, the viscoelastic of choice will be sodium hyaluronate.
Yeah.
Because that's a cohesive viscoelastic which is available in the Indian companies, cheap varieties are available. It'll expand the bag. Then you will have a space between the anterior and posterior capsule, you can put the CTR. That is second point. Second point is, once I see a zonular dialysis one side, I inject viscoelastic, come out, then immediately I put a CTR there and close that area.
Yes.
Okay, then I go and remove the cortex from this side. And so these are two things I would have done differently.
And that was a fairly
True.
large dialysis also.
Yes.
Yeah. So would you like to go for CTS segment, sir?
No, I think
Or a
because
CME?
the CTR itself, it was about 4 or 5 clock hours, if I remember right, the video.
Yeah.
Four
Was
clock
about
hours.
5 clock hours, I thought.
5
it
clock
was.
hours. CTR would have been okay.
Dr. Rohit, Gaurav, anything to add? Dr. Sandeep, you're so quiet.
I think the only thing,
Dr. Sandeep is muted also, so we can't give it.
Soumya showed everything beautifully and explained all.
I'm learning so much, Namrata.
But I think the only thing for a beginner phacosurgeon I would suggest is that if you're doing a case like this where the pupil is a little small, you should try not to go under the pupil and do a blind aspiration at the equator of the bag. Then that's when these things happen. And also, you should always do it under visualization. You can always move the pupil aside, like with your second, if you're doing a bimanual, you can just move the pupil to the side when you're going to aspirate, have a temporary visualization there, and then aspirate under visualization. That's how you can probably prevent this from happening. I think the management part has been covered very well anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there are two types of, for all these patients, when you come across who have these mature cataract with, these cortical strips lying beneath the capsulorhexis. For the youngsters, I would like to add that they should not be over aggressive in taking them out, because at times there is a weak, zonular thing. And if you use more vacuum, you can end up with such zonular dehiscence. I basically put an IOL, and I prefer to err on the side of leaving behind some small strands of cortex rather than trying to take the whole cortical material out. How would the other panelists say about what I have just said? Dr. Gaurav, would you like to say something?
I completely agree, sir. I mean, the small remnants which are very sticky and which are not, amenable to easy aspiration, you can easily inject the lens and be safe about the lens kind of tamponading the equator of the capsule, and that way you are safer. Another thing that I do is that if I'm not able to aspirate from the equator very easily, or if there's something, in the periphery, sometimes you have these fibers stuck to the PC and they are not ready to come off and you don't want to peel them off, you can go from the main port with just the infusion on the bimanual and do a kind of like a flush. It's like a jet. I call it as a hydrojet, and you can use that, like a direction of the fluid in all those equatorial areas. It loosens up all these fibers, and then they're more amenable to be caught and aspirated. So that makes life very easy if they are not very free. So I completely.
That is easier, Gaurav, with the intact zonules. With zonules being compromised, I don't know how much will work. But the best thing is to put the lens inside and then aspirate, no, at the end.
Yeah.
I also go
Don't be very aggressive in removing the cord. That's a take-home message. Rohit rightly said.
Can really bring down your vacuum, go on that PC polishing mode, and then you are able to be comfortably go on to the.
And tease it rather than pulling it out.
And another thing with Chitra, I want is absolutely a 3-piece lens in this situation.
Yes.
I think, Chitra, there are 2 or 3 questions on the YouTube also. So one is very quick. Karan, how old was the trauma? Somebody is asking.
Harshul,
Not there.
please open the moderator thing.
Yeah, I've opened it, ma'am. All the questions are already answered. First let Dr. Karan answer. Karan, are you there?
Would you prefer doing a PI in such cases of traumatic cataract? That was another question. So Karan can answer that. But PI, I don't think. I don't know. Routinely, we are not doing. Even if it is a traumatic cataract.
So one more question is there. I think Dr. Rohit can answer this question. Tips for phaco in soft sticky cataract in mid-dilated pupil in diabetic patients. Dr. Naresh Rohra is asking this question on our panel, sir. Dr. Rohit, are you there? Dr. Sandeep, you can answer that, please.
Tips for removing? Sorry, I wasn't attentive.
Tips for phaco in soft sticky cataract in mid-dilated pupil in diabetic patients.
Well, if you have access to pupil expanders, you should use that. And you should never hesitate to use a pupil expander in any case where you don't feel very confident. But if you're in a situation where, like what Dr. Gopal Arora was, and you really don't have access, then in that case, you should make small trenches in soft cataracts and mix small as at the same time deep trenches so that you can go deep inside. And once you have managed to divide the nucleus at some stage, then nuclear management becomes quite easy. The trick is to basically get a crack. And for that, you'll have to make deep trenches and a divide and conquer, as one of our previous speakers was saying.
Yes.
Make the rexus slightly bigger than the pupil.
Correct, of course. Yeah.
Make the rexus slightly bigger than the pupil and do a hydrodelineation in soft cataract. Hydrodelineation and a hydrodissection. Okay?
Yes.
And once you do that, then everything will loosen up and start coming into the anterior chamber. You can just aspirate this thing with low parameters as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Dr. Karan can answer that question, Namrata ma'am.
How old was trauma in that case? Karan,
Ma'am, it was about 3 months or more. First, we had done the tear repair, followed by later on by this second surgery.
And did you do a PI in that case? That is another question.
No, ma'am, I did not do a PI. I did not do a PI.
All right.
What would be the recommendation for the panel? Would they do a PI in such case?
So I think I answered that I wouldn't. And
sorry, there's a connection issue here.
Confident of lens in the bag, I would not do a PI.
No.
Because lens is not the bag, then I will do a PI.